To me, the biggest disaster in the United States of the last few years, the biggest disaster is weaponization of the DOJ.
It's like the fourth branch of government where it's this, just
it's the rising authoritarianism, period.
Yeah.
And complete loss of control of the media is also big, but I think that happened long ago.
That's been, if you think about it, that's been at least since the 70s, 80s, like the independent journalists, like you brought up Glenn Greenwald, like there's not many, very few and far in between.
Right. And then you start digging into Tucker Carlson, what went on in that story, and that story's batshit crazy. The Dominion lawsuit and why Fox settled, stuff like that. And
so, I don't think it was because of that. I think it was because of he did that January 6th piece. I think that was the last.
I think he tried to get fired. I think he was trying to. If you look at the stories he was telling over the previous 6 months, he was touching every third rail he could figure. He talked about Building 7 collapsing. He talked about the CIA whacking Kennedy. He talked about the CIA taking out Nixon with Watergate as a setup. He talked about everything. I think he's saying, I got to get out of my contract because I want to go do something else. And so they finally fired him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they gave him a salary, kept him on payroll, thinking, okay, we've got a non-compete clause. But that only applies to him taking a job in competing. Free speech is free speech. So he's now working for free. And if they're going to pay him $25 million a year to shut him up, they're wasting a lot of money because he is not shutting up.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what is he getting more viewers now on Twitter?
Yeah, and then when that non-compete clause is over, he will have built a pretty good fan base and he'll be able to write his own paycheck again.
Yeah, I saw something. I don't know if it was true that Trump was talking about making him the VP. What do you think of that?
Well, the question is, did Trump say that, or did someone say Trump said that?
Someone said Trump said that.
This is the problem we face on a daily basis. So if you want to understand why Robert F. Kennedy's nuts, all you have to do is read an article about what someone says Robert F. Kennedy said.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to Robert F. Kennedy's podcasts, you find out that's not what he says.
He went on the Breakfast Club. That's like, like kind of like a hip hop show.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think they'd resonate with his message because, I watched the show and I watched some of the other, more right-leaning candidates will go on there and they'll kind of, banter back and forth. But man, they really gave him the floor, and you could see even in the comments people being like, like, wow, he woke them up. He really, he breaks stuff down where it's hard to.
He's very quick learned. He's very sharp. And the other thing is, you sense he's trying not to lie.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of it. People are so tired of the liars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's why he won't get near the White House. And if he looks like he's going to get near the White House, I wouldn't underwrite his insurance policy. Right? And he admits
terrible,
that.
Man. It's so terrible. Like, this is like, this is like real life. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
then the question is, you'd say, well, how would they get away with that one, right? It would be like whacking Trump. How would you get away with that one? But then you realize that the modern era used to be they had to get away with stuff. Now they actually do an in-your-face treatment of these problems. So the January 6th committee, in your face, putting a guy away who wasn't even at January 6th for 22 years. That's in your face.
Mm-hmm.
If you read about the history of rising authoritarian states, you find two recurring themes. Confusion. You got to admit we're confused.
I'm confused.
And demoralization. In your face is a way of saying, look, we're going to do this. We're going to take the ball around to the right. We're going to drive to the hoop. We're going to stuff the ball, and you can't stop me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're doing now. So, and the other thing is, if you own the media as well as they own it now, you just have to make sure that no one tells the story. The laptop, what a perfect story. You knew within 24 hours that laptop was real.
We talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it.
Right?
Yeah.
You knew within 24 hours it was real, and then they just shut it down.
then the narrative, it gets memory holded, and then that becomes like, whether it's January 6th or the laptop, their story becomes, it's like, revisionist history, where like that's just,
Or it's old news. You let it
yeah.
get
So if you bring it
stale.
up, nobody will want to debate you or talk
Well, I'll
about it.
tell
Like,
you
well,
what's said to be on the laptop, which again, who knows? But what's said to be on the laptop is a bunch of pedophilia shit.
oh, 100%. I mean, 1,000%. 1,000%.
So the laptop, so we never got Epstein's list. We never got the January 6 tapes. How is it possible as January 6 tapes aren't public? That's why I hated McCarthy. I wanted
Yeah,
Getz to take out McCarthy. Because
I don't like
McCarthy
them.
lied. McCarthy lied to his own people.
Yeah, I don't like
Get him
them.
out of there. Get him out of there. People are saying, "Oh, Getz is mucking everything up." No, he's not. No, he didn't. He needs to show McCarthy that he can't lie like that.
It seems like the social issues divide the right and the left, but like there's certain issues that like could really bring us together. And one would be, the Epstein client list. One could be the January 6 tapes, COVID. And like this could really, unite like the populace into actually doing
blow
something.
it up, I guess.
But,
I don't know.
we're
I don't
too
think we can
divided.
handle it.
No,
I don't think we can handle it.
We're too divided on social issue. Then you have, the left that's, they're having to do mental gymnastics to like make sense of what everything going on right now, everything from Bidenomics to inflation to COVID to, Zelensky. And then the right seems to be, the more extreme, the MAGA arm of the right. They just seem to be really confused of like, my dad would fall into that category where it's like, Trump's got everything under anything you bring up. Trump's going to get in and take care of that. Don't worry. When Trump gets
you're not going to elect the problem away.
Oh, yeah, I agree. That's one thing. Yeah.
But one lobe says I want Trump in there in part out of spite. They did so much bad stuff. I'm going, okay, that's like in it's like in Yellowstone, the scene where they back the truck up to the bar and release the bull into the bar and just let him
see how crazy it's going to get. Let's let Trump back in.
And I'm going, okay, take some of these guys to the station. That's fine by me. But the other lobe of my brain says if we could find a good leader that was more uniting, and that would be Kennedy. But they're not going to let Kennedy in there. They're not going to let him in there.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. I wish.
Who would they pick? Who would they rather have in there, Trump or Kennedy? Let's say they had to choose.
Trump. They already had him.
I know, but he's dangerous. Kennedy might, by unifying, might try to not blow the system up. Trump might blow the system up.